You know, any leadership is supposed to be pro-people. Why? Because everyone who's there is there to serve the people. We're here today talking about the manyoka that we see on the streets. But the manyoka is because it has been allowed to be there. Because on this show, we just said we do not have public service vehicles. We have private individuals offering public transport services. We do not have public that is owned by the government that would take people from one point to the other. That there is no standard that even manages those. And when you top up that together with what it is you're saying, one asks the question, the government that we have today is seemingly not pro-people. Therefore, how do we fix that, Fanya Mambo? Because I hear you speak and you're talking about how to serve Mwananchi, how to make Mwananchi be front and center. That when it comes to taxation, we are not taxing you to a pulp that you have nothing to take care of yourself. That when it comes to offering public service, I am not on private facility, but forcing you to be on a public system that I do not trust myself. How do we fix that, Fanya Mambo? Is our political system so bad that it would take the hand of God slapping people literally for it work?
Let me give you a simple example. Today we are worried about finance bill and we are worried about budget. Kenya receives 2.5 million tourists a year. Mm-hmm. Kenya makes 144 billion shillings from tourism every year. Mm-hmm. Kenya has a population of about 55 million people. Now, France has a population of 70 to 80 million people. They get 120 million tourists per year. Mm-hmm. So you can imagine how much they make. They get more tourists than their population. Mm. What are those guys going to see? The Eiffel Tower.
Yes.
And some funny things.
And the bridge with the padlock.
We who have got one of the 7 wonders of the world, the wild beast migration, have allowed a moron, a creature without a brain, to build a hotel on the path of those wild beasts. And now they are not able to move nicely. And that could change a phenomenon. There's a country in Asia where they take people and put them on small boats at night. Then they go and switch off their lights. Mm. Do you know what those guys are seeing? Glowworms.
Bugs.
Yeah. Glowworms. Yeah. Zikiwaka hivi. And they are making more money from tourism than we do. If only we fixed our tourism in this country, we would make not less than 5 trillion shillings a year from tourism. Iyo si pesa tuna tax mwananchi. We are just saying, how can we start earning? A flight from Wilson to Masai Mara is more expensive than a flight from from Nairobi to Dubai. So if we fix our tourism, if we just sit and just put common sense in our tourism and start asking, where in the third world country, why are we making a tourist pay 30,000 per night in a hotel? Many of them will not come here because when I went to the UK, I lived in a hotel and I would pay the equivalent of 10,000 shillings a night. Mm. So if I can pay 10,000 shillings a night in a 5-star hotel in the UK, why would I come to Africa and pay 30,000 a night? We must fix our tourism. There are so many things we can do to make sure that Kenya earns at least, hiyo ni kuearn, hakuna kutax. Yeah. We were selling tea to Sudan. They were giving us 5 billion. Mm-hmm. In our wisdom or lack thereof, and I believe it is lack thereof, we decided to host rebels at KICC. You know, you are hugging rebels, you are hosting them, you are being nice to them. We lost tea business worth 5 billion shillings.
And that agreement has never come back into force.
And you know what? Now, those are farmers who've lost livelihoods and opportunities to earn. So it's just the carelessness. Yeah. I don't think we should be taxing Kenyans. That is what I'm trying to answer. I think if we fix tourism, we should be asking ourselves, if tea gave us 10 shillings last year as a country, how can we make 15 or 20 shillings from tea this year? If coffee gave us 11 bob, how can Eves give us 23 bob? You know? And we start asking ourselves, 60 years after independence, why are we importing toothpick? Why are we importing underwear? Muiko ya ugali, enda utafute ile supermarket, it's made in China. Muiko. It's not even their staple food, but they're making a muiko for us. So if we are making this finance bill, I was hoping to see a proposal on the floor of the House that all imported muiko duty may raise to 1,000%. Because when I was in Standard 7, I made a mwiko for art and craft. Then the next thing is duty on toothpicks has been raised to 2,000%, so that Kenyans make their toothpicks or rot in their teeth. So those are the things I was hoping to see in the finance bill. How do we start taxing heavily, very punitively, those things that Kenyans can make? And then our industry will begin to grow. Because it takes one idiot to import a 40-foot container of toothpicks. But it would take very many Kenyans to make the number of toothpicks that would fill one 40-foot container. So I cheerfully submit to us that what we need right now is a shift in the way we are thinking and start asking, can we do government as business? If Paris is getting 120 million tourists a year to come and see a tower, when you think of how much we have, kuna watu wanaenda kuona, you know, when you are small, global, wacha niwaambie na Kikuyu, togunyo, tunawakanga hivi, right, you know, light, alafu kanazima kwa giza. There are people who are paying money to go on a boat and watch those. God has blessed us immensely as a nation. The only thing is we haven't done is we have not chosen those people who have good brains and taken them to parliament and in decision-making positions. We have this very serious addiction for dimwits.
There are solutions that have been given even in this conversation this morning. And the call is for a lot of people that, Fanya Mambo, you continue to speak out about some of these things that we discussed this morning. There's a lot of work to be done. And there's a lot of work to be done in the minds of people, also in the enactment of some of these things. But thank you for being here.
Actually, I have a plea.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm making to everybody out there who can help me. I never usually ask for help from Kenyans. But those 2,000 wheelchairs and everything else in the UK is still available. They told me they'll hold it for a month from when I left. I left the UK on the 25th. They are holding it in trust for me for a month. If there's anybody who can help me to become the consignee on this side, or, you know, we have a way around this rubbish system, and then we find a way to make sure that we go around every poor family to give them. I'm ready to sacrifice my time and energy to go back to the UK, to jazz a container, to Ilete. And then we go to the very needy. You know, some children on a wheelbarrow, some people who are, you know, those walking aids are very many. And we need them to bring them here. I don't know how we shall, but let's reach out to one another. Let us find a way. Mimi nita sacrifice nirudi huko tena. Kama tunaweza leta hiyo container and it becomes the only thing I have done for Kenya this year, me I'll be a very happy man. Nijue there is a person sitting on a wheelchair because we made it happen. There's someone pushing and walking aid because we made it happen. It's quite a tricky environment within which we can work, but I'm ready to work with every right-thinking person to see to it that that consignment gets here. And all one knows of it to me is kuja kucompete na nyinyi. I'm not interested. I thank God I'm on my 2 feet. I don't want to ride one. And I pray I never live to ride on one. All I'm saying is there's someone who needs this stuff.
True.
And he needs to come here.